Alrighty, and welcome back to Black Phoenix Entertainment. You guys clicked on this video because I mentioned Harley. That's why. My crew, my friends know that I have gone back and forth about actually getting a Harley trike, but let's make a video and actually talk about it, weigh the pros, the cons, my mindset, where I am with all that, and yeah. So first and foremost, yes, I have, not for a long time, but I have ridden the Harley trikes, the whatever they call it, the freewheeler and the RG3. Not very long, not on a road, just in a parking lot. So are they comfortable? Absolutely. I was comfortable on it. It didn't feel weird, didn't feel anything like that. So that's not really what I'm worried about. I'm worried about a couple other things. Cost aside, we'll talk about cost later. But one of the big things is obviously shifting again, because the Spyders have the quick shifters. I'm just going to let this guy pass me. And so there's no clutch. So basically I haven't had a clutch in a very, very long time. So, but again, that wasn't weird either on the trike. Like, I'm like, all right, I can shift, I can do all this stuff, whatever. It's definitely going to take some getting used to. And the one thing I'm worried about is traffic and just dealing with my clutch hand and stuff like that, and just shifting and all of that. Maybe that's a null issue. Maybe that's just, I'm just kind of in my own head about that. Maybe it's just not going to be an issue at all. But that does go through my head a little bit. Like, hey, is this going to be something long term that I'm going to end up, you know, with my arthritis and all my other issues? Like, is that going to become an issue? And then, like, with my foot shifting, like, so, you know, I do that a lot. I overthink about stuff. It could just totally be a non-issue whatsoever. And, you know, maybe there's a quick shifter for some of those trikes. I don't know. Maybe there's an air shifter. Who knows? Someone somewhere must make some aftermarket stuff for Harleys and Harley trikes, because Harley trikes are all the same motors, and I'm guessing same motors and transmission stuff as the regular bikes, so it can't be all that different. But yeah, so that's one thing that was in my head. The braking is also going to take a little bit to get used to, because obviously with the Spyders and the Rykers, there's one brake. There's all three wheels. Harley doesn't do that, as far as I know. Now, if I'm wrong about that, let me know. But they still have the handbrake up front for the front brake, and then the foot brake for the rear brakes, I believe. If I'm wrong, I could totally be wrong on that. That's the last thing I looked up. Maybe some of the newer models are different. Maybe they have a thing where you can do all-wheel braking. I don't know. That would be great. I would love all-wheel braking, but, you know, it is what it is. So, again, that's probably just me overthinking that. Again, not a big deal. Those two things, clutch, brakes, not a big deal. That would just be me. All right, I've got a new bike, totally different. I got to get used to it type thing. So there's that. Space, obviously I would have a lot more space on that thing, and they are bigger. So I'd have to get used to the size difference and not seeing the two wheels in front of me, and like they'd be behind me. So that would definitely take some getting used to. Again, it's just something different. Get used to it, but the handling is what's getting, like, that's, besides cost, handling is one of the biggest things where I'm like, I don't know. They handle like crap. And that's all I've ever heard, is those things handle like crap. You can't really corner with them. Is there aftermarket suspension? Maybe, I don't know. I'm not all that big on Harley aftermarket stuff, so someone's gonna have to chime in and let me know, like, is there a way to make those things handle somewhat decent? I'm not saying like race them, and I'm not saying like carve corners and stuff. I'm just saying, like, I can keep up with people and comfortably and not worry about that thing friggin' flipping on me. Like, that's all I care about. I'm not gonna I'm not trying to take corners at 70, 80 and things like that. Not the things that I try to do in a Ryker. I'm like, I just want to be able to be slightly spirited in riding and be able to confidently take a corner and know that, like, this thing's gonna stick to the ground on me. The other thing is the reverse. I use reverse a lot. Maybe that's just because I know it's here and it's a completely separate gear on the Can Ams. On the Harley trikes, it's not. I believe it uses the starter to actually, like, turn everything backwards, and you can reverse. And I can push this thing around no problem. I can throw this thing in neutral and just push it. I don't know if you can do that, like, with the weight difference on the Harley trikes, like, if you can even do that. But maybe that's a mindset thing where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to park and stop and do things where I don't always have to go into reverse. Maybe it's that. I don't know. El Doggo. And but yeah, I heard that's an issue. And I heard, again, If it just doesn't happen anymore on the newer ones, let me know. But I've heard those starters burn out, like those reverse gears, like because if you're using it too much, it's not really what it was made for. So it's just like, nope, I'm gonna give up, and you no longer have reverse, or you can no longer start. That could also be an issue. Like that to me seems like a fatal flaw, because the starter starts the motor, but you're also using it to reverse. But if you reverse too much, you blow out the starter, and therefore you can't start your bike. So yeah, fun stuff. And of course, cost. They cost a lot. I mean, they don't, if you're really looking at like the equivalent Spyders on Can Am's lineup, honestly, they do kind of match up the same if you're going new for new. But still, it's just like, I don't know. I can't do it, because then I would have to do aftermarket stuff to it, and then there's that. So then you're adding costs onto it. Like I was talking about the suspension and things like that. So, like, how much would it really cost me? If am I talking 35, 40 grand? Like, could I get one for 20, 25? And then throw maybe a couple more grand into it and still be into it under 30? I don't know. If I could be into one 100%, decently, kind of how I want it, for under 30K, I would definitely be interested. And of course, if Harley says, hey, we like you, Ryan, we like Black Phoenix Entertainment, would like to gift you or help you get a Harley trike, that would also be great. I would appreciate that sponsorship. But oh yeah, but yeah, so that's where I'm at. It costs a lot. So pros, cons, a lot of the cons is cost for me, because right now I kind of can't justify it. It's a lot of money. So yeah, and then you also got to outweigh cost. Oh, that guy just totally blew the light. With dealer network. Alright, there's a lot more Harley dealers than there are Can Am dealers. If I'm going on road trips and stuff, then I know I've got the Harley dealer network behind me. They warranty stuff, they do all this stuff. So there's a lot of pros and cons going in between switching over from Can Am to Harley. I think what I would need is a really good demo ride on one to really solidify it. Be like, all right, is this a switch I want to make? Does it work for me? Am I comfortable? Does it do all the things I needed to do for the types of riding that I'm doing now? Yeah, so like I was saying, what I have to do is really get on a good demo test ride of one. Be like, is this everything I want? Does it do everything? Then the second factor obviously is money. Like, does it work financially for what I want to do? So that's where I'm at. And you're probably wondering, Ryan, why all of a sudden are you thinking about that? It's always been on my mind. Like, it's always like, all right, it would be a good switch. I mean, Can Am is so stale, so stagnant. It's just like, they don't give a shit about their customers. Like, it's just, I don't see Can Am making any significant changes in the next 3 to 5 years. There's no competition, so they don't care. So at least Harley, like, obviously it's probably the best well-known brand of bikes. Like I said, the dealer network, stuff like that. And long term, it's probably, you know, with the amount of trips and stuff that I want to take and do all this stuff, probably where I'm going to end up. I think it's just going to end up with timing. Now, Can Am could obviously surprise me, and I will let 3 midgets punch me in the balls if Can Am does something incredible in the next 3 to 5 years. Like, I would just literally be like, all right, where are the midgets? You can punch me in the balls, because Can Am did something that their customers have been asking for probably over a decade at this point. But no, I don't see that happening, which is why I'm saying the midgets can punch me in the balls. So yeah, so that's where I'm at. Go down there. If anyone can answer any of my Harley questions, go down there in my comments, leave me a comment. While you're down there, do all the fun YouTube stuff. Do the liking, do the subscribing, do the sharing. And also, while you're down there doing all that stuff, in my description, I've got some things that you guys can save money on. My Epic Water Filters deal. You guys can save some money on some cool, nice, filtered water, so you know you have clean water. I got BLRtuning, Ironside Customs for some awesome motorcycle stuff, and of course any money I make off of this channel through my merch or anything else goes to Moby Kit Rescue to save the kittens. With all that being said, thank you for rocking with the flock. See you guys on the next one.